Hello, Piggy.
Hello, Pig.
How are you?
How are you, mate? Good?
Good, yeah.
It is a momentous day, isn't it?
This is a momentous day.
Yep.
Everyone knows I am a diehard Port Adelaide supporter.
Yes, fair to say, yep.
Fair to say I chew the ear off of
Anyone
that would listen.
Yes.
To the point where people's eyes glaze over. So after a much talk, I decided I'm going to lay it all out on track. Good. And just talk about my real passion in life besides my family, obviously.
Yes.
And we're gonna start to. You've graciously allowed me to put the Port Report.
The Port Report. I like it.
Under the Footy Gods Banner.
Yep, Footy Gods Production.
Yeah, I'm just going to, a bit of a passion project for mine. I'm just going to talk all things Port, and as we go through the season, just probably release one or two maybe clips a week, just to recaps, lead up, and yeah.
Just a little pet project for you, Pig. Yeah. Passion project, should I say.
I have to put myself out there because I'm compulsive with Port. I can't hold myself back. You know what I mean? If we're doing a podcast like we just finished now for the Footy Gods, which is a great episode, I can be a bit more composed. But when I talk Port Adelaide, I just can't contain myself. Is that fair?
Fair enough, Pig.
You've heard it.
You want.
You've been on the receiving end.
That's what you want from supporters.
Port, history lesson. So
I have. You know your stuff, Pig. So that's good. I think it's a good idea that you're doing it. I think a lot of Port supporters are going to enjoy your contribution.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get started.
Let's get started, Pig. So tell me, let's let the viewers in. Why Port, Pig? Let's start there. Why Port Adelaide?
Oh, Pig. Why not Port Adelaide?
Take me back.
It's the greatest club in the land. Port Adelaide is the greatest football club in the land.
Yeah.
And I'll say that with pride, a lot of pride. We've got the history, Pig.
Yep. We've
got the best colours in the AFL, best colour scheme in the AFL. I have to say, black, white and teal there's nothing better. And just like my connection to Port Adelaide as a kid, it's like something that I can't replicate. And it's only something that I could hope to have my son replicate as well. So, I'm 34 years old now. I started watching Port when I was 8, which is when they come in, 97, 98. So 7, 8 years old, they entered the league. So,
and was your dad a Port supporter there?
Yeah, my dad was like Port Adelaide because all my mum's family.
Obviously, you've lived like near Port Adelaide.
We live in the area, yeah. We definitely lived in the North Haven, Port Adelaide area, North Haven, Semaphore, which is 10 minutes away from the port. So we're very much ingrained in the port culture. My mum's father's a wharfie. Like we have that tradition in our family, and they're all my whole family, 10 brothers and sisters. My mum's side, all Port Adelaide supporters. But hey, looking back, it's not hard when they win a premiership like 9 times out of 10 in a thing. So I definitely understand why every other team in South Australia hates Port Adelaide. You can only imagine because I feel like that about Collingwood, and they lost every grand final for about 50 years. Yep. So while Port Adelaide, honestly, it was like the best experience of my life. Being 7, 8 years old, and my dad again coming from Malaysia, it was a way for us to we connected over football. We got to be there for the start of it. So and also, there's nothing better than the Mark Williams era, the late 90s, 2000s era. As a football fan and a kid that loves football, you could never be more hooked than that. So we rode it all. So some of the best memories is obviously going to the football, with a season ticket holder at West Lakes.
The Amy
and
Park.
We'll drive my dad's my
Stadium.
Toyota Camry, and we'll park on someone's lawn because you could do that at West Lakes. Pay $5 and 20 cars would park on someone's lawn. It had the
suburban field, didn't it?
Yeah, we'd walk in there with a thermos and Milo as well. Get the Milo, the kettle chips as well, and then we'd go and watch Port Adelaide. And then on the way home, because there's no one better. If you're a Port Adelaide supporter from that era, every time you see Mark Williams, you get chills up your spine. There's no one more that evokes emotion, respected, and just inspirational than Mark Williams. So we used to go home. We'd go to the game, and then we'd drive home from West Lakes in the backlog. We'd have 5AA in the background, and then we'd have the scarf outside of the window and just listen to Choco go crazy. And just as in football in general, the early 2000s, I reckon, is honestly the best era of football. Yep. We had the Brisbane Lions, a really good Collingwood side. We had the Bombers were really up and about. We had a few, and it was the baby Geelong team starting around that era.
The Port were right there too.
And we just went through everything to trying to win that first flag. And we went from a team that was that bounce early 2000s, and then we won nearly every game. We'd win every game about 10 goals, 20 goals. then choked on two of the biggest finals in 2002 and 2003. And by that stage, our best players were like going towards the back end of their career. So it was now or never. And if you ask me who the best team to ever play football is, man on man, proper football, not so much what we watch now. Brisbane Lions is the best contested football team to go around, coached by one of the greatest figures in football, Lee Matthews. So we are arguably better than them during that period win-wise. But we took their scalp in 2004, which is like the greatest day of my life.
That would have been a good day.
Yeah, and like, you know,
So you would have been what, like 15?
14. So
14,
I was young. It's not like I was 19, 20 where, you know, now you watch the footy, you have a few drinks and the day goes away from you. I was 14. So I remembered everything.
You're soaking it all up.
The drive up to, the drive to Melbourne, like the fact that my dad got a ticket, it wasn't easy for us.
Yeah, imagine.
And dad got a ticket and the only way we could go is if my sister and I sat on one side of the MCG and he sat on the other MCG, and like we're like 14 and 16 or something. But that's how much we wanted to go. Yeah. I still remember going to the grand final parade. I still remember going to the game, and I've never been to the MCG before. So if you ever go to the MCG, it's like an incline, like a steep incline. So we sat like near the top as well. So I was like, being 14, I was climbing these steps looking up, and it's not like Adelaide Oval or West Lakes where it's like a nice gradual incline. Yeah. This is steep. So I'm like, I'm going to pass out. I thought I was going to pass out. And we got to the game, and then, like just to see these, the old school Port Adelaide boys with like the big beards and tattoos on their arms. And they're like, after the game, like, we can get into the game, like the proper grand final one day, but all the scenes that happen, and I'll never forget when the siren went and there's grown men like with their beards look tough as nails crying, just like weeping, you know. And then after the game we went back to Punt Road and Jimmy Barnes played there, and it was just like the best. How good. It was just the most amazing time.
Nothing like it, is there?
Yeah, that's why I put Adelaide to me. I'm from that day I'm hooked, and I can never turn back.
Always a special place in your heart.
Yeah, so I'll tell you who my favourite player is. Warren Treadray is my favourite player.
Okay, yeah.
I love.
Fair enough too.
I love Warren Treadray so much.
Choppy Pickett.
Yeah, well, I'll get to
Choppy Pickett.
Warren Treadray, like out and out. If I had to pick like gun to my head, I had to pick a favourite player, Warren Treadray, because I was a big bad bustling full forward as a kid. Probably wasn't as good as Warren Treadray, but the way he could turn a game, and like he actually wasn't the best. Sometimes his kicking was wayward, but the way he could turn his hips 50 metres from goal and go the other way. So he's running, leading full pelt, turns his hip, bucks his defender, and just slots one from 50 out. Like, and then he took the captaincy over in the premiership year from Primus, and he kicked 80 odd goals. I reckon 81 goals, I want to say, huge. That year. That's huge. And he just put us on his back. He's just, an absolute, leader of men. So someone that I will always respect for the rest of my life. But when it comes to other players, obviously 2004 era, that team, they're littered with my like top 10. But from that team, I like cult figures like Michael Wilson was one of my favourite players ever. Defender. Yeah, Josh Carr, hard as nails. Damien Harwick, hard as nails. Yes. But I love Brett Montgomery off the halfback. Obviously Chad Corns was young. He was a good footballer.
They had a stacked team, didn't they?
Byron Pickett, Choppy Pickett. And the one that gets lost in all of it is like Roger James and Peter Burgoyne.
Yeah,
just like there's some guns. Peter Burgoyne is an absolute superstar. I know Sean Burgoyne had the huge career. Peter Burgoyne is a star, and
he was.
I love it. And as the years went on, obviously we've gone through the darkest days and come out at the Ken Hinkley days, which I'm forever grateful. In a way, we looked like our club was going to fold for once, but I've liked David Roden. I like some of the guys on the way that kind of were a bit of an X factor more than anything. But David Roden.
Chad Wingard?
Not so much. No, Chad Wingard, he did some great things for us, but I'm not the biggest fan of Chad.
There's been some big names over the years, hasn't there?
There's been some big names.
Yeah, there has been.
And then the day it all turned is when we got Ollie Wines in the draft. It was a pick 7 in the draft, and then we started bringing in some talent slowly over the years, and then the whole Ken era came. Then obviously now we're looking at the current day. I would say obviously Butters, Rosie, and Hornets are the no-brainer. Yep. There's one kid I love and I think is going to go wild this year, and that's Logan Evans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like Logan.
19 years old.
Was he in mid-season? He was, because he put his SNFL, wasn't he?
So he got overlooked in the draft. He came in, played 13 games last year, played some really good footy for 13 games. See, that game we got smashed by Brisbane last year is his debut, and he's not the only one that played well.
That's right.
But I'm telling you now, he's special. On the weekend in the preseason game, he had 25 touches, 7 intercept disposals, and I want to say like 84%.
25 touches, yeah, shit. Okay.
Yeah, 25. He's 19 and played 13
there's
games.
something there for sure.
So you didn't tell me that if he played for Carlton and he did that on the weekend, everyone would be talking about him. So I'm really excited to see him this year. So yeah, that's
Very
me,
good
Pete. That's me in a nutshell. You can just tell I'm literally trying to stop the saliva from pooling.
I love it because we like the passion.
I love it. I just love Port Power so much. And,
well, on that note, let's segue into the more modern stuff.
Yep.
So last year, I mean, probably a couple of years before that as well, you probably were getting pretty excited. You're thinking, oh, here we go. But so talk me through the last couple of years, Pig. Obviously a bit of heartbreak.
Yeah, so there has been a bit of heartbreak. I've seen it a little bit different because I really believe, and it's a hard thing to kind of suck up, especially when your team ends up in the last few rounds every year. I don't think our list has been as good as what we've delivered on paper. So like last year, we finished second. The last 3 years, everyone's rated us as a team to drop out of the finals, right? We finished second, 16 wins, made it to the prelim, and it's hard to not put Port Adelaide in that one basket of the team that keeps missing out in the finals, because Ken Hinkley's coached for 10 years, and this is like the third iteration of his team. This is not the same team. Definitely not the same team from 2014. No. It's definitely not the same team that lost to Richmond in the early 2020s. This is a completely different team. We've rebuilt on the fly like 3 times. But one thing that really just shits me to tears is our investment in a really good key defender. Mm-hmm. And I think people should know by now, if you try to get a big name key defender to come to your club, it's almost impossible, right? When they do, they change games. Like think of a Stephen May coming to the club, something like that. He changed, and Lever within 2 years they changed. Like they don't come to have Barras come to Hawthorn is a huge move, right? Yeah. They're not going to come to Port. So you can either do your best to try to bring someone in, and we bring in Asava and we bring in Zerk Thatcher, and the debate's out on them, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But if not, you have to invest in the draft. Some of the best defenders now, look at De Conning, who's been playing in the ruck for Geelong. He's a superstar defender. He was taken in the draft early. Some of these guys that are now the best defenders in the game, like Sam Taylor. How good is he?
Yeah, he's gun.
Yeah, it's impossible to get him to come to your club. So I think Port, in the back of my mind, and most Port supporters will say this, if you really ask us, we're always in the back of our mind going, no, we're something's not right in this team. It's either our forward line, or it's always been our defence. And Port really invested with Tom Cleary, Jonas, McKenzie for years, and they just weren't. Their effort was there, but their talent and their height and everything wasn't there. So when it really came to crunch time,
it was missing that link.
It's missing something but then Aaliyah came in, and I feel like I'm being disrespectful of him because he's been really great. But if you're really honest with yourself, when it really comes down to it, he is a little bit fumbly. And
but you need 2 as well. You can't rely on one guy.
You can't. And I look at the general. I think Port is lacking that general down back, and that really shapes every. And if you have that, Aaliyah thrives in his role. So. Yes. So long story short,
so they've overachieved, you think?
I think we've overachieved. I think we have overachieved, but I think people are judging us wrongly about where we actually are as a team, and I'll touch on that in a minute. We made the prelim final. It's easy, and the media always will just say, "Oh, there's another flop from Ken and his group." But I think there's 3 different teams that have flopped in quotations flopped, but. I took a lot out of that Hawthorn win last year. Yep. That was amazing, right?
Good win, yeah, very good win.
I think there were some mistakes made in that Geelong game. One was putting Darcy Byrne-Jones back.
Yeah, that's right, yep.
He was an All-Australian defender, and I was crazy about this when we were watching that game. I told you
were losing it. Yep.
It's a mistake to put him back down there, didn't I? Yep. I said that because the game's changed. He was like a hard at it halfback that used to blaze the ball. You can't blaze the ball like he does. And in that first 10 minutes of the game,
cost you 2 goals probably.
It was so woeful.
Yep. And that set the standard for the whole game.
And he's completely rebuilt himself as one of our best
he's
forwards.
great forward.
He just has the weirdest knack to kick goals. Like I like him as a footballer, but
Bobs up.
him at halfback is an absolute mistake we made, right?
I don't think you'll see that again.
And the Sydney game, the wheels kind of fell off. So, I think last year there's so many positives. It depends how you want to look at it. I don't think it's another flop for us. I think it is. I took a lot out of that year. Yep. So, and to win 16 games in this competition,
it's huge.
You can cut it any way you want.
Yeah.
Like that's a sign of a good thing.
It's a good team. It's a well-coached team. You can't win 16 games and not have a good coach. Well, okay, Pig. Well, on that front, let's just talk about Hinkley because we know the succession plan has been put in place. Yep. What do you think, Pig?
Okay, I will come out. I will stand by. I'm a fan of Ken Hinkley.
Yes.
But I also am ready to see the back of him. Like I think they both exist at the same time. So I think to say Ken Hinkley's not a good coach or he's the reason why we have won a flag, I don't agree with that at all. I really think like you can't win. You can't be a coach and not win win no less than 10 games in 10 years and not be a great coach. All right. And I think some of the times that we made deep in the finals, the players let us down.
Yeah,
because we had senior players that lived around that area of 2007. Like I'm talking about Boakes and Westhoffs and even Robbie Gray around that area, who fantastic players in their own right. But I think when it came to crunch time, they missed crucial goals. They screwed up some crucial moments. So, you can get the game plan, but if you don't execute, you don't execute, I'm not saying Ken's blameless, and I think 11 years or whatever he is at the helm is a little bit too long. But I think he's a stable coach. He's obviously his system and his relationships are good enough to get us there more often than not, which I think is a sign of a really good team. What do I take about the Josh Carr, Ken Hinkley transition? There's no way of telling if Josh Carr is going to be a good coach. What I don't agree with, that media is saying Port didn't even try to look outside of the coaching ranks. I think that's pretty disrespectful. Like, you think like we know more than a football club that does that. And, people who have a short memory, like you just look at Sydney, like the same thing happened with Dean Cox. Dean Cox, no
one's talking about that.
No one. And
they said it's great.
And if Longmire came out and said, this is my final year, which he very well could have, or got to the end of the year and said, I'm done, Dean Cox is always going to be that next coach of the club, and everyone would have praised it. So, and then you look at...
I think he even turned down like the Eagles job and stuff.
And Josh Carr turned down a chance at Richmond. So it's very parallel, right?
Very, very similar.
And the same thing happened with Simon Goodwin. He was picked internally, but they obviously knew he was a good enough coach. And there's a few that escaped me. Sam Mitchell was exactly the same, albeit it didn't end well.
Yeah, it wasn't as pleasant.
But the plan was to have Sam Mitchell come back from West Coast, which he did, and probably could have had another job. He didn't. They gave him an opportunity. Clarko and him didn't get along. I don't think that's going to happen with Port, but that's the exact same process as what Port's done with Josh Carr. And, I have heard a lot about saying this guy, that guy, and Nathan Buckley, who I actually have I've grown to love over the years. He's someone I did not love in the early 2000s, but I am a big fan of how much he's evolved as a pundit and a coach. But a lot of people say Nathan Buckley should have got given the job. And I'll tell you exactly why I don't think Nathan Buckley should have been given a chance. I should have been a shoo-in for Port Adelaide.
Yep.
He's a Collingwood player his whole life. He coached Collingwood as an assistant. He had the same path of being the next coach. So he took straight over from Mick Malthouse. He's in arguably the best club in the land to be a coach at, right?
Yep.
With a premiership team basically handed to him. And people seem to forget, his game style was one of the most boring defensive game styles that's so dated now. And you actually see traces of it from Longmire, from Fremantle adopts many of the same methods.
Yeah.
And he also coached a team that plays at the MCG, one of the biggest grounds.
Because Longmire was assistant, wasn't he?
He was for a couple of years, yeah. So Buckley's philosophy and game style, I reckon, deterred Collingwood a little bit. And he had a great team. Like he had 70% of the team that just won the flag 2 years ago with a younger version than McRae had. So I don't like his game style. I think it was slow and boring. I don't think it was what Port needs. They play on the MCG, Collingwood. It's a different game as well, playing there. But okay, take that all aside. If he left Collingwood and he went to another club and became a footy director or an assistant coach, just like Voss did, just like Lepich done, I would have a completely different thing, because I don't think his ego would have allowed, I don't say ego in a disrespectful way, but an ego is who he is as a person, would allow him to go back into another environment and not be like some kind of the
Not
big
be
fish.
the guy. Yep.
Yeah. So how has he evolved and learned from leaving Collingwood to come to Port Adelaide now? Like, I think it's just a real short-sighted view. And like the same thing with Ross Lyon. I don't think Ross Lyon's the man to get Saints out of it, because Ross Lyon went to media as well. He did the exact same thing, you know?
Yep.
So
I agree.
That's why I don't think Nathan Buckley would have been the better choice. But Josh Carr has won a premiership with North Adelaide. He obviously has the traits Port Adelaide identified. Like Koshi, as much as we give him shit, he's still a businessman. This is a business. This is how businesses work sometimes.
Yep.
They will if the right person is not there, they'll find him. If the right person's there, they'll promote.
Yep. That's right. Yep.
All right.
Very good. So with all that being said, Pig, so Josh Carr, Ken Hinkley coaching this year, what are you expecting? What are your hopes and dreams for this year?
I'm bullish.
I know you're quite bullish, and probably rightfully so, but talk me through it.
I think the media, I think Kane Corns and the likes kind of whacked Port Adelaide a couple of weeks ago, and I think people are now listening to that and going, get Port Adelaide again is the team to drop out this year. So I'll quickly touch on the off-season. Charlie Dixon retired. I think it's a better thing for the club.
Yep. Yeah, he was done.
Dan Houston left. That hurt me. That hurt a lot. Seeing as he's gone to Collingwood, I can't stand that.
Yeah,
I'm going to be honest with you. Like, that pains me to see. Only because I like him so much.
Yep.
He's going to be a good footballer.
Yeah, he's a good player.
But I think we really maximised our return. We got Joe Richards. We got Joe Berry. And we got, I think I'd say Whitlock around that pick as well. So we basically turned Houston to 3 players.
Yeah.
It's a great result, right?
You did as good as you possibly could in the situation, I think.
I think so.
Because obviously you didn't have any other collateral to trade up.
Yeah, and I think we made the right move. It looked stupid when we rushed and made that trade, but I think in a super draft to come out with some of these picks, and we got Christian Moraes as well. I don't quite I can't know how it all worked out, but I reckon we got Whitlock and Richards and Berry basically for Houston, which is a massive return. Whitlock's going to be good as well. So
Berry looks like he's going to be a star.
Yeah, so where do I sit, Pig? This is, after seeing that preseason game as well, it literally it eased all my fears, okay?
Yep.
So I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why, maybe 4, I bet I'll say 4, but I'll just give you 3 reasons why I think Port Adelaide are a really up-and-coming team, okay? Mm-hmm. So number 1 is list profile.
Yep, quite young.
Port get treated in the same breath as Brisbane, Geelong, Sydney, Collingwood, around that mark, like on the tail end of that when you think of the best teams, because purely on our results.
Yeah.
So, but when you look at Brisbane, Geelong, Collingwood, the biggest difference is their age demographic and their games experience is in the top 3. Like, it mirrors where they sit on as a gun team. Port's age and age and experience is like 10th to 12th.
Yeah, wow.
Which is surprising, right?
Yeah.
10th to 12th, like for a team that's constantly made it to the last week or the at least finals.
Yep.
That's a really surprising fact. I don't think people know that, because we're following one big Ken Hinkley story and that it's a 10-year story, but it's not. It's broken into different sagas, and this is the latest one. So I think our demographic is so young. Our best players are in that 24 to 25 age, right? We have 3 relevant players over 30, which is Wines, Aaliyah, and Boak.
Boakey, yep.
Collingwood have...
Boakey's what, like 35 or something?
Yeah, he's way over, right? And he's probably bringing our list age even closer. Maybe we're 13th list age-wise. But we've got 3 players over 30. Collingwood have what, 11?
Yep.
Very good players. Most of them are very good players, but this is the difference in experience and things. So this is a team now these kids have now all played like 3 years of finals. They won a really good game at Hawthorn. And like when I want to put a ceiling on the list, I'm going to give you a couple names here, and I bet you they're all 26 or under, and you can't tell me how good they're going to be, right? Mm. So you got Mitch Georgiadis, Miles Bergman, you've got Lockie Jones, you got Zach Butters, Connor Rosie, Jason Horn-Francis, Logan Evans, Kane Farrell. You've got, I reckon Todd Marshall almost will sneak in. He's around that. He could be just a tad older. But you've got all of those players.
Heaps. Jace Burgoyne, heaps of young kids.
So all of them, if I ask you, do you think they're going to be good? You go, yeah, I reckon they could be good. Can you tell me how good they're going to be? You can't tell me.
No.
So
I think very good though.
That's
a lot of those names.
Exactly. Yeah. So really, you can't put a ceiling on us. I think it's disrespectful to say we're going to fall out of the top 8. Like, unless something crazy happens, how can you say that when we've won consistent games over the last 3 years? We've got a coach and a club that's stable, and we've got a list that are like ready to just explode.
Yeah.
So that's number one. Why I think you should back Port. Like, people should put a bit more on respect on Port's name. Number two, ball movement, right? And this is something that Ken Hinkley can take the blame for. We have so many good ball users, a great midfield of like Butters, Rosie, and Horner are the 3 best disposers of the footy for a midfielder.
Yep.
They're miles away from a Jack Steele,
yep,
for example, right? But with Port have always gone through the guts, taken all the risk, then kicked to the forward pocket for a safety kick, or kicked one out to Charlie Dixon. It doesn't work. Yeah, like we do all the hard work, we bite the kick off, and then we kick it to a forward pocket to break even.
Yep.
That I didn't like that, and Ken Hinkley has to take the blame for that, and that's my biggest criticism on him. If you watch the what they're saying in the preseason and also the game they played against St Kilda, there is a clear directive that they're going to use the ball different, and they're going to use their foot and hand to kick the ball into the forward line and maximise Lukosius and Rioli and Joe Berry and all the lines.
Yeah, the entries definitely look different, didn't they?
Completely different.
Yep.
So I'm really bullish about that.
Yep.
And we'll finish it up after this pick. I wanted to go for 10 minutes. It's been like 3 hours, it feels like. The footy fairy tale and the Finlayson fairy tale, right?
Finlayson, yep.
So Finlayson, I'll start with really quick. Finlayson could be the answer that we are looking for. I saw more out of Finlayson in that one game than I have seen from any key back since fucking Chad Corns.
You've tried, yep.
Yeah, like we've never had we've never had someone so composed that uses the ball and that intercepts. Like I don't care what you say. He had 30 touches.
Well, straight away he's overtaking the Saba.
Yeah,
like, Asaba's
100%.
Like never going to be doing any of that.
100%.
So
And I like Zerk Thatcher. I thought he had a good year last year, but he is shaky with ball in hand.
Yeah, he's a different type of defender. Exactly. He's not that ball use guy.
And Aaliyah, that sounds disrespectful to you, but I think you've been a fantastic player, but you are not the guy, if that makes sense. You're not the general. You're an amazing second defender that can really hurt teams on the rebound. But when you're made to be the best guy, I don't think you are. And you know what? It's been one game, but I've seen Rory Lobb do it.
Yep.
Finlayson's had 30 and 13 marks.
Huge, yeah.
Why can't he do it? Why?
Very impressive.
And I was like, if he can come out against Collingwood round 1 and be the reason why we beat him, then I really think Port are a real sniff. On the weekend was the first time I looked at that team and go, I felt like from top to bottom, I felt so confident. And I've got the privilege and pain of having my 2 best mates lifelong Geelong supporters. So you can just watch from afar, and every game you watch, there's an expectation from you guys.
Yep.
And there's a calmness from you guys.
Yep.
You go in, not being arrogant, you expect to win every game, or you're a chance to win every game, right? Port Adelaide supporters can't say that. The best as we've been, you can't say that because we're always going to be a brain fade or a bad performance away. So, and then I thought to myself, that's what a good team is. That's what Geelong supporters feel. That's what Brisbane supporters feel. And I'm like, I remember that feeling when Port Power played in the early 2000s. So you can lie to yourself all you want. Unless you really feel that feeling deep down, you know your team's probably not up in that that space, no matter how high they finish. So I felt a bit of that on Saturday.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was definitely good. He looked like he was a missing piece that you needed to pick.
Yeah,
because the forward line's elite. George Yard's coming along really nicely.
Yeah.
I think, if Finlayson can keep doing that, then you're a big sniff.
I'm sick.
Obviously, Butters hurts a bit, not having Butters for a while. So
I know, but when you've got
if you can just get the job done while he's out.
Yeah. And like Houston's a big hole, but I've seen something amazing. And I've seen Logan Evans add intercept to his game, have 25 touches, 80-something%. Josh Sin had 14 disposals, 85%. And Kane Farrell got caught out a couple of times, but he took the game on.
Yep.
They're all 3 weapons we had. And some of the times that we kicked easy goals, they were the ones kicking the ball into the forward line. Like, that's just incredible to have. So I'm very bullish. I'm glad people
No, you've done well, Pete. You've done very well.
I appreciate
one thing you can tell is the passion, and that's the main thing. I think.
I do. Yeah,
I think people will respect the passion for sure, and obviously you got some really good opinions as well. So I think those two things alone is going to put you in good stead.
Yeah, and these are my opinions, and I'm steadfast on them. So everyone has different opinions, and I respect that. And I'd love for you guys to jump on our YouTube and like our page, subscribe, and I'm going to try to get this out to as many port pages